Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, money just slips through your fingers? Like your home is full of locked doors and fortune simply can't find its way in? What if I told you the reason isn't luck, but something much closer to you? Something right outside your front door. Many overlook this. The tree you plant at your doorstep is not just decoration. It's a silent gatekeeper of energy, a living bridge between your home and the flow of wealth. When ignored or left uncared for, it can block prosperity as surely as a closed door keeps out light. Imagine your home as a mirror reflecting your future. A cracked or dusty mirror distorts what's to come, just like a neglected tree weakens the energy around your space. But a healthy tree, shining with life, can transform that reflection. It can open the gate for abundance to enter gently and steadily. This isn't superstition or empty hope. It's the quiet power of nature's elements working together, guided by intention and care. The right tree, placed carefully and nurtured with gratitude, can balance the flow of energy in your home and invite money to come in every day, no matter your starting point. So before you search for big miracles or complicated rituals, look at what's growing right outside your door. Are you ready to open that gate? To let in the steady, lasting wealth that begins with a simple, living thing? Today, I'll share with you the secret of this powerful tree and how it can change your life quietly, naturally, and beautifully. 1. The common mistake: ignoring the power of the tree at your door. One of the most overlooked secrets to attracting wealth and peace into your home lies not in grand gestures or expensive rituals, but right outside your front door, the tree standing quietly in your yard or on your porch. Yet this silent guardian is often ignored or misunderstood. Many believe a beautiful home means prosperity will automatically follow. But without attention to this living gatekeeper, wealth can become trapped and energy can falter. In Vietnamese culture, the home is not just a physical space. It's a living, breathing place where the balance of energies reflects the fortunes and well-being of everyone inside. Our ancestors knew this deeply. They understood that certain elements around the house could either welcome good fortune or push it away. The tree at the entrance is not a simple decoration, but a sacred bridge between the earthly realm and the unseen flow of energy that brings luck, health, and abundance. Imagine your house as a mirror reflecting your life's path. If the mirror is clear and well kept, it shows you a hopeful future. If cracked or dusty, it distorts reality and clouds your vision. A tree that is wilting, covered in dust, or planted in the wrong spot acts like a cracked mirror. It breaks the harmony of energy, blocking the path for fortune and stability. The flow of positive energy, called Kai in our culture, is easily disrupted by neglected plants or poor placement, just like water stagnates and loses its freshness when trapped in a blocked channel. Many families, especially among older generations, instinctively place great care in choosing and tending plants before their homes. The tree chosen, its health, and where it stands are all considered with the intention of maintaining balance. Yet today, in the rush of modern life, this wisdom is often forgotten. Trees become afterthoughts, left to wither quietly or worse, removed altogether to make space for concrete or parking. This simple mistake closes the door on abundant energy without most people even realizing it. The energy carried by a tree is subtle but powerful. Its leaves, roots, and branches communicate silently with the land and the air, forming a protective shield that keeps negative energy at bay and invites positive forces in. The tree acts like a filter, purifying the Kai before it enters your home. When this natural filter is healthy and vibrant, the house feels alive with calm and opportunity. When the tree is sick or absent, the energy flow is scattered, much like a broken reflection that confuses and misleads. One common error is choosing trees solely for appearance or convenience, without understanding their energy qualities. In our culture, some trees are celebrated for their auspicious qualities, such as the prosperous peach blossom during Tet or the enduring banyan tree. But random or neglected trees may do more harm than good. For example, a dry, leafless tree at the entrance may signal stagnation and block the nurturing energy your home needs. This is not simply about aesthetics. It is a message from nature about the state of your home's energy. Another mistake is failing to regularly care for the tree. Vietnamese tradition often includes daily or weekly rituals, watering plants with care, trimming dead branches, and cleaning leaves, not just to keep the tree healthy, but to honor the living energy it carries. These small acts are offerings to nature, showing respect and maintaining harmony. Without them, the tree's energy weakens, and so does the flow of fortune to your household. The placement of the tree also matters greatly. In traditional Vietnamese homes, the front gate and courtyard are sacred spaces where energy enters and circulates. Placing a tree too close to the door can block energy like a heavy curtain, while placing it too far away loses its protective effect. The ideal position is where the tree can receive ample sunlight, allowing it to thrive and shine its protective light on your home. This placement aligns with the flow of Kai, guiding wealth and good luck directly to your doorstep. When these principles are ignored, the consequences can be subtle but real. You might notice that despite efforts, financial struggles persist, relationships feel tense, or health issues arise. These imbalances often trace back to the unseen disruptions in your home's energy field. Like a clock that's out of sync, the rhythm of fortune and harmony is broken, and the tree outside may be the missing link. Recognizing the power of the tree at your door invites a shift in mindset. It calls for mindfulness, not only in planting but in nurturing. By choosing the right tree, placing it thoughtfully, and caring for it with intention, you align your home with the natural flow of energy. You restore the balance that allows wealth, peace, and health to grow steadily and naturally. This is not a fleeting fix or magical spell, but a return to ancient wisdom wrapped in simple, living things. The tree becomes a partner in your journey, a silent guardian whose growth mirrors your own prosperity. When you awaken to this truth, the front of your home transforms from a mere entrance to a welcoming gateway where fortune is invited to stay. Today, take a moment to look closely at the tree by your door. Is it healthy? Is it positioned well? Are you caring for it with the respect it deserves? This living being is more than you think. It is the keeper of your home's fortune, a bridge between earth and spirit, and the first step toward unlocking the wealth patiently waiting outside your door. 2. The olive tree, guardian of light and steadfast wealth. Among the countless trees that could grace your doorstep, one stands out quietly and steadily: the olive tree. It does not boast showy flowers or towering height, but its presence is profound, gentle, and deeply rooted in both history and spirit. For centuries, the olive tree has been a symbol of peace, wisdom, and endurance across many cultures, including echoes of these meanings in Vietnam's own reverence for nature's steadfast guardians. The olive tree's leaves are unlike any other, slender, long, and shimmering with a soft, silvery green glow. This subtle metallic sheen is more than beauty. It is nature's way of creating a protective light barrier. In the language of energy, this glow acts like a shield, quietly keeping negative forces at bay while gently inviting positive energy to gather around your home. The tree's rough, ancient trunk, gnarled like a time-worn sculpture, speaks of resilience and strength, a reminder that true wealth grows slowly and with patience. What makes the olive tree truly remarkable is its unique harmony of elements. It contains the essence of wood, metal, and water, all working together to create a balanced and steady flow of energy. In Vietnamese philosophy, balance is the key to prosperity and peace. The olive tree's green wood element connects it firmly to growth and vitality. Its metallic essence, reflected in the shimmering leaves, brings clarity, focus, and protection. Meanwhile, the water element, felt in its smooth, flowing form, cools and softens harsh energies, easing tensions and fostering calm. This perfect blend means the olive tree doesn't rush fortune, but nurtures it with gentle persistence. Unlike flashy or transient signs of wealth, the olive tree's energy is subtle, steady, and deeply nourishing. It softens places where energy feels too harsh or dry, much like how a calm stream soothes parched earth. For families living in homes with heavy or chaotic energy, planting an olive tree at the entrance becomes an act of healing, inviting balance where there was imbalance. In the Vietnamese cultural context, this resonates with the traditional value placed on patience, endurance, and harmony with nature. Just as the bamboo bends but does not break in the wind, the olive tree stands as a testament to quiet strength and lasting prosperity. It is a living symbol of hope through hardships, encouraging you to trust the slow unfolding of abundance. Beyond symbolism, the olive tree also offers practical benefits. Its leaves are known to cleanse the air, filtering out dust and impurities, creating a fresh and pleasant atmosphere around your home. This natural purification helps keep the energy field clear and vibrant. The tree's presence alone can reduce stress and invite a peaceful stillness, making your living space a sanctuary from life's storms. The olive tree is also deeply connected to spirituality and blessings. Across many cultures, olive branches have long been regarded as gifts from the divine, symbols of peace and favor. Planting an olive tree at your doorstep is like planting a prayer, a gentle declaration to the universe that you are ready to receive abundance, peace, and protection. However, the olive tree's power is not automatic. It thrives only with care, attention, and respect. In Vietnam, tending to plants with mindfulness, watering them gently, pruning with care, and cleaning their leaves reflects a deep spiritual connection. This nurturing transforms the tree into a living partner, one that mirrors your intentions and amplifies your energy. When the olive tree is healthy and vibrant, it becomes a beacon of steadfast wealth. Its energy flows like a quiet river, steady, strong, and unshakable. It supports not only material prosperity, but also emotional balance and spiritual depth. It reminds us that true wealth is not flashy or fleeting, but rooted in harmony, patience, and gratitude. In your home, the olive tree acts as a guardian of light. It captures the morning sun, transforming soft rays into protective energy that fills your space. This gentle light pushes away shadows, both physical and invisible, ensuring that your family's path remains clear and bright. To invite the olive tree's blessings is to embrace a way of living that honors slow, steady growth. It teaches that wealth, like life, unfolds naturally when nurtured with care and intention. For those seeking a quiet yet powerful ally in their journey, the olive tree offers a living testament to resilience and hope. 3. Placement matters. Letting wealth flow like a gentle stream. Where you place your tree is just as important as which tree you choose. The ancient wisdom of Feng Shui, deeply resonant with Vietnamese culture's respect for harmony and flow, teaches us that energy moves like water, finding its way along the smoothest path, gathering in places open and welcoming and avoiding blockages. Think of your home as a living riverbed. The trees, plants, and structures within your yard shape how the Kai, or life energy, flows into your space. Place your tree in the right spot, and wealth will trickle in gently and steadily, like a clear mountain stream nourishing every root and leaf. Place it wrong, and the flow can become blocked, scattered, or even reversed, like a dam stopping water from reaching thirsty land. The most powerful location for your olive tree, or any wealth-attracting tree, is the southeast corner of your home, known traditionally as the wealth corner. This spot is where money, personal growth, and opportunities gather. In Vietnamese homes, this area often aligns with the front or side garden, where sunlight nurtures life and warmth invites good fortune. Planting your tree here acts like setting a natural magnet for prosperity. The leaves, branches, and roots work together to pull in the energy of abundance, inviting it to pool and accumulate. It's not about sudden, flashy gains. It's the steady, dependable growth that sustains families through years and generations. A healthy tree in this corner signals that your foundation for wealth is strong and your path forward is clear. If your home's layout or geography makes the southeast corner inaccessible, the northwest corner offers a valuable alternative. Known as the Nobleman Corner, this space symbolizes support, mentorship, and beneficial relationships. Planting your tree here activates energies that bring help and guidance at the right moment, opening doors to opportunities you might otherwise miss. Many traditional Vietnamese homes embrace these principles intuitively, often incorporating gardens or courtyards in these sacred spots. Even in modern urban settings, small potted trees placed thoughtfully in these areas can transform the energy field of your living space. For homes with wide courtyards or open central spaces, the heart of the property, called the Central Palace, can be an ideal location. Here, the tree acts like an anchor, holding energy in place and preventing it from dissipating. This central placement helps keep the blessings circulating within your home, supporting both prosperity and peace. However, it's important to avoid placing trees directly in front of doorways or paths where they might block the flow of Kai. Just as a river encounters obstacles that cause turbulence or stagnation, a tree blocking an entryway can stop positive energy from entering. The goal is to guide the energy gently into your home, not to trap it outside. Another important consideration is the direction your house faces. For homes facing west or southwest, areas often flooded with harsh afternoon sunlight, the energy can be scattered and intense. In these cases, planting an olive tree in a large pot in the right-hand corner as you look out from inside can cool and balance this heat. The tree acts like a natural air conditioner for your energy, transforming scattered rays into concentrated streams of calm and wealth. Morning sunlight plays a crucial role in this process. The first light of day is the purest source of positive energy. When the leaves of your tree catch this gentle glow, they absorb and amplify it, blending the elements of earth and metal into a protective shield. This shield stabilizes your home's energy field, creating a sense of safety and abundance that permeates every corner. Taking care to water your tree properly and keep its leaves clean is essential to maintaining this energy flow. A dusty or dry tree can block light rather than invite it. Like a neglected lamp that fails to illuminate a room, a tree in poor condition dims the life force it is meant to channel. Placement also involves intention. When you plant or position your tree, approach it mindfully, setting an intention for prosperity, peace, and growth. This simple act of focus aligns your energy with the natural flow, strengthening the connection between you, your home, and the tree. In Vietnam, many old families hold deep respect for these traditions. Gardens and plants are not random. They are carefully chosen and placed, often accompanied by rituals or prayers. This is a way of living in harmony with the earth and honoring the unseen forces that shape our lives. Modern life may pull us away from these practices, but the wisdom remains. Even small changes, moving a plant to a sunnier corner, choosing a spot based on the flow of light and air, or simply cleaning leaves with loving care, can have profound effects on the energy of your home. In the end, placement is about listening to your space and nature's rhythms. It's about opening channels, not closing them, inviting streams of energy, not building walls. The right tree in the right place becomes a living partner in your journey, a steady source of wealth, calm, and renewal. So as you stand at your doorway, ask yourself, where can I place this tree so that it best catches the morning light? Where can it stand to open the gates for prosperity to flow like a gentle stream into my life? When you answer these questions with care and intention, the doors of fortune begin to swing open naturally, and the wealth you seek flows in softly, steadily, and beautifully. 4. Caring for your tree, nurturing the flow of life and abundance. A tree is more than just wood and leaves. It is a living vessel of energy, a silent partner in the harmony of your home. Caring for your tree with intention and respect is not merely about keeping it alive. It is about nurturing the flow of life and abundance that moves through your space. Without proper care, the tree's energy can fade, and with it, the steady current of fortune can weaken or even disappear. In Vietnamese culture, tending to plants has long been seen as a spiritual practice as much as a physical one. The daily ritual of watering, pruning, and cleaning leaves is a way of honoring the life force within the tree. Each drop of water offered with gratitude, each leaf wiped gently, is an act of connection, binding your energy with nature, and weaving a stronger flow of positive Kai into your home. Neglect, on the other hand, signals a disconnection. When leaves wither, branches dry, or dust settles thickly on the surface, the tree's energy dims. This is like a lamp growing dim or a river slowing to a trickle. The imbalance it creates can ripple through your home's energy field, manifesting as financial struggles, tension among family members, or a general sense of heaviness that clouds daily life. Healthy trees breathe life into your home. Their vibrant green leaves act like living mirrors, reflecting vitality and inviting fresh energy. The gentle rustle of their branches becomes a soothing lullaby, grounding your spirit and reminding you of nature's steady, patient rhythms. The tree's roots anchor prosperity deeply into the earth beneath your home, stabilizing fortune so it doesn't slip away like fleeting luck. Caring for your tree goes beyond watering. It includes attentive pruning. Removing dead or dying branches not only encourages new growth, but symbolizes letting go of stagnation in your own life. Clearing away dust and dirt from leaves allows sunlight and energy to penetrate fully, enabling the tree to perform its protective and nourishing role. When you touch your tree with intention, running your hands along its bark or feeling the softness of its leaves, you are engaging in a silent dialogue. This mindfulness fosters a deep bond, encouraging the tree to grow stronger and more vibrant, while you receive its steady flow of energy in return. Moreover, your attitude toward your tree affects its health. Plants respond to the energy they receive. Approaching your tree with patience, kindness, and gratitude creates a positive feedback loop, amplifying its vitality. Conversely, rushed or careless treatment can weaken the tree's spirit and its ability to nurture your home. This connection reflects a larger truth found in Vietnamese life. The harmony between humans and nature is fundamental to well-being. Just as farmers cultivate rice fields with care and respect for the land's rhythms, so too must we tend the living elements within our homes. In practical terms, this means setting a simple daily or weekly routine. Observe your tree's leaves for signs of distress, water it consistently but without excess, and keep the soil healthy and well-drained. If you notice pests or disease, address them promptly, not with harsh chemicals but with natural remedies when possible, preserving the delicate balance of life around your home. Remember, a healthy tree doesn't just bring material wealth, it brings peace of mind. It becomes a silent guardian that calms emotional storms and fosters a nurturing environment for your family to grow and thrive. When life feels overwhelming, spending a moment with your tree, breathing deeply near it, feeling the coolness of its shade, or simply observing its quiet strength can ground you. It reminds you that, like the tree, you too can weather storms with grace and patience. In this way, caring for your tree becomes a daily meditation, a healing practice that flows into all areas of your life. Your attention and love translate into steady growth, both for the tree and for your own journey toward abundance. Ultimately, the tree's flourishing is a reflection of your own willingness to nurture, to slow down, and to invite a gentle, persistent wealth into your home. The energy you cultivate here will ripple outward into your relationships, your work, and your spirit. So tend your tree not just as a plant, but as a living beacon of life and hope. In its leaves, see the promise of prosperity. In its roots, the strength to sustain it. And in your hands, the power to nurture both. 5 other trees that open the door to wealth and peace. While the olive tree stands as a quiet guardian of steady wealth, the natural world offers many other trees that invite fortune and peace into your home, each carrying its own unique energy and symbolism. In Vietnamese culture, trees and plants are seen not only as part of the landscape, but as living friends, each with a spirit that can open doors to blessings when chosen and cared for with intention. One beloved tree is the magnolia, often called the honored guest of spring. Its large, glossy leaves and elegant flowers bloom just as the seasons shift, sending a gentle invitation to new beginnings and fresh hope. The magnolia's scent is subtle but powerful. It carries the warmth of spring's promise, clearing away stale energy and filling the air with softness and renewal. This tree's presence at your doorstep or garden breathes calm confidence into your home, inspiring grounded strength and steady growth. Then there is the orange and tangerine tree, a favorite in many Vietnamese households, especially during Tet celebrations. These trees don't just bear fruit, they bear golden treasures that symbolize prosperity and luck. Clusters of round, bright fruits hang like coins from the branches, offering a visible sign of wealth growing steadily over time. The vibrant green leaves keep the energy flowing, providing shade and shelter from harsh influences. Placing these trees near the entrance or in the southeast wealth corner helps attract continuous financial blessings and nurtures a peaceful, abundant home. Another powerful yet humble plant is rosemary. Though small in size, rosemary's delicate needle-like leaves and soothing aroma act as a natural shield against negative energy. Traditionally, rosemary was planted near front doors and windows to guard homes from ill fortune and restless spirits. Its scent calms the mind and soothes inner turmoil, making it a favorite companion for those seeking emotional balance and protection. Even a small rosemary bush, cared for with attention and respect, can create a protective energy field around your living space. The red bud tree brings vibrant energy of renewal and emotional healing. Its early spring blossoms burst into brilliant pink or red flowers that awaken the air and brighten the atmosphere. This tree is a symbol of warmth, togetherness, and new beginnings. In Vietnamese culture, where family bonds and emotional harmony are deeply cherished, the red bud tree becomes a guardian of relationships, softening tensions and inviting laughter and love back into the home. Planted near a front path or garden gate, it acts like a blooming invitation to joy and fresh opportunities. For those seeking purity and calm, the white camellia is an ideal choice. Its delicate, pure white petals, sometimes touched by a hint of pink, spread a quiet energy of cleansing and rebirth. This tree helps regulate the energy around your home, ensuring smooth circulation and preventing stagnation. In urban settings or tight spaces, the camellia's modest size and graceful presence create a peaceful buffer zone, allowing light and air to move gently while welcoming blessings to enter. It is a living symbol of fresh starts and gentle protection. Each of these trees carries distinct energies, but they share a common purpose: to open pathways for wealth and peace, nurturing a home's harmony. Choosing the right tree depends not only on your space, but on your heart. What kind of energy do you wish to invite? What qualities resonate with your spirit? Vietnamese tradition teaches that plants are reflections of our inner state. A home filled with thriving, well-cared-for trees invites abundance, calm, and clarity. It becomes a place where energy flows freely and life unfolds naturally. No matter which tree you choose, the key lies in intention and care. Plant with respect, nurture with love, and allow these living companions to transform your home into a sanctuary of fortune and tranquility. 6. The trees behind your home, roots that hold lasting wealth. While the trees at the front of your home invite wealth and positive energy to enter, the trees planted behind your house play a different but equally vital role. They serve as the roots of your prosperity, the foundation that holds lasting wealth, stability, and protection for your family and your home. Think of the trees behind your house as the backbone of your living space. They provide strength, shelter, and a sense of grounding that supports all the abundance flowing into your life. Without strong roots, even the tallest, most vibrant tree can falter. Similarly, without solid energy anchored at the back of your home, prosperity can feel fleeting and unstable. One of the most revered trees for this purpose is the oak tree. Known for its majestic presence and longevity, the oak has long been a symbol of strength, endurance, and protection across many cultures. Its broad canopy and deep roots offer shelter from storms, while its sturdy trunk embodies resilience through time. Planting an oak tree behind your home is like installing a silent guardian, standing firm through challenges, nurturing your family's foundation, and ensuring stability that lasts for generations. The pine tree is another powerful symbol of endurance and renewal. Evergreen and steadfast, pine trees remind us that strength can endure through the harshest seasons. Their fresh scent clears the air and calms the mind, helping you release stress and invite clarity. A pine tree behind your home serves as a natural purifier, keeping negative energy at bay and inviting a steady flow of peace and vitality. The fig tree carries a unique energy of abundance and wisdom. Its wide-spreading branches and generous fruit symbolize nourishment and growth, not just in material wealth but in the richness of life itself. Historically, fig trees have been seen as sacred, offering shelter to spirits and bringing a sense of sacred protection to the home. Planting a fig tree behind your house can help you feel connected to life's deeper cycles and cultivate long-lasting prosperity. Then there's the apple tree, known for its sweet fruit and simple beauty. But beyond its appearance, the apple tree carries powerful symbolism of personal growth, knowledge, and choice. Its blooming flowers and ripe fruit remind us that every season brings new opportunities, and every choice we make has the potential to bear fruit. Having an apple tree at the back of your home encourages mindfulness, grounding, and steady progress toward your goals. Together, these trees create a protective barrier, both physical and energetic, that stabilizes your home and your life. They act as anchors, holding energy in place so that wealth and well-being do not scatter or fade away. This is especially important in today's fast-paced world, where external chaos can easily disrupt our internal balance. The back of your home is often where you seek refuge, a quiet place to relax, recharge, and reconnect. The trees here help create a sanctuary, a space where you can feel safe and grounded. Their energy seeps into the soil, into the air, and into your spirit, reminding you of the deep roots that support your journey. Planting and nurturing these trees requires patience and care, much like building lasting success in any area of life. They do not promise instant wealth or flashy results. Instead, they offer steady growth, resilience, and a peaceful foundation that supports all your efforts. When you tend to the trees behind your home, you are tending to the foundation of your life. Their strength becomes your strength, their endurance your endurance. You create a sacred space that holds your prosperity firmly in place, rooted, strong, and ready to flourish. As you consider your home's landscape, remember to honor the backyard as much as the front. The trees behind your home are more than plants. They are the silent pillars of your well-being, the keepers of lasting wealth and peace. As the first light of dawn slips softly through your window, imagine the gentle rustle of leaves outside, your tree, standing quietly as a faithful companion. In this moment, there is no rush, no clamor for more. There is only a calm invitation to breathe deeply and be present. Your home is more than bricks and walls. It is a living space woven with energy, light, and the silent whispers of nature. Each leaf, each branch, carries a message, a soft current of life that flows through your rooms and into your heart. When you open your eyes to this quiet presence, you begin to see fortune not as something distant or fleeting, but as a gentle river flowing steadily toward you. It does not burst through doors or shout its arrival. It arrives softly, persistently, like morning light spreading warmth across the floor. The tree outside your door is more than a plant. It is a mirror of your own journey. Its roots remind you of strength and patience. Its branches speak of growth and openness. Its leaves shimmer with quiet hope, a promise that abundance comes not from rushing or forcing, but from steady care and presence. In this stillness, you may ask yourself, if luck were a river, where have I left my gates open? Which corners of my life are ready to receive the quiet blessings waiting to flow in? There is a sacredness in this question, a call to mindfulness and grace. To walk gently with nature is to walk gently with yourself, honoring the rhythms of life and the unfolding of your path. So as the day begins anew, may you carry this calm within you, the calm of a home that breathes with the rhythm of the earth, the calm of a heart open to receive, and the calm of a life rooted in steady, unfolding abundance. What door will you open today to welcome the quiet stream of fortune into your life?